Have you been doing any reading lately, like reading articles online or anything interesting out there in the news?
Well, that's really funny that you should ask that because I happened to just read this interesting article. It's from Vox.com. And the author is Sean Illing, and it was from July 19th. 2018, so pretty new. And it's called How the West Became a Self-Obsessed Culture.
Oh my God, that is quite a title right there. That's going to draw some clicks, right? Because people are going to want to know, that's a self-obsessed. Interesting. Okay, I want to know more.
Yeah. So I wanted to talk about it today because I thought that it could be really interesting for us. It could be interesting for our listeners, just this discussion of culture, right? So many times we talk about American culture and this kind of goes into it a little bit deeper. So do you want to hear about it?
Yeah, I want to hear. Let's see what it's about. Let us know.
Okay. All right. So basically, it starts out talking about there's some study that talks about Americans and how they call it collective narcissism. That Americans are basically collective narcissists. So what's a narcissist, Lindsay?
That is such a strong word, narcissist. Well, when I think of narcissist, I think of someone who's very self-obsessed, self-concerned, and focuses entirely on them, on themselves. That is kind of, but kind of to a pathological extent, right? So that's a really strong word to use in this study.
For sure. For sure. And, it talks about individual and collective narcissism. So individual is, just yourself. It makes me think of our president, actually.
Yeah. That's a whole nother topic. Oh my gosh. Don't get me started on him.
I won't. But that's just the first person who came to mind. And collective is more about a group, right? So, it kind of mentions how, as a group, we are like narcissistic. Do you think this is a stereotype, Lindsay?
Definitely. Yeah. I think we have to be, I think anytime that we predict someone's behavior based on, certain ideas, it's a stereotype, right? We assume we know what the person's going to do. So yeah, for sure. And anytime we're also, I think later in today's episode, we're going to talk about, Asian cultures versus Western cultures, which is also a huge oversimplification. So we'll point out when we feel a little uncomfortable that things are a little oversimplified, right, Michelle? We'll voice that for sure. But it's interesting to pull this in to get into the psyche a little bit of American culture so that we can understand it a little bit better for our listeners who might be living here, for sure. Yeah.
Definitely. So that was just the beginning of the article, but then it got into this really interesting interview with an author whose name is Will Storr. And he wrote a book called Selfie, How We Became So Self-Obsessed and What It's Doing to Us.
Okay. I want to know more.
Yeah. So I know, I definitely want to read that book.
Yeah, for sure.
So basically this author says that, in general, the West is more individualistic, which has there are good things about it and there are also cons, right? So, cause he mentions that it's good to be have a positive feeling about have, goals and dreams and all these things like that. But he mentions that because of this individualistic attitude, we tend to think that things have a lot more, the result of what happens has a lot more to do with us than it may really. We think we affect the outcome of everything more than we really do.
Yeah. And that's in a positive and a negative way. If the outcome is negative, we think that. And if the outcome is positive.